The damages are about 6.6 billion US dollars. These are the damages that are caused to Ukrainian agriculture, and this is about 23% of the capital that is available in Ukrainian agriculture.
Any kind of blackmailing, any kind of terrorist acts should be met. These very, very concrete steps from the civilized countries.
Hello and welcome to Ukrainian Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center and NGO Euro-Atlantic Course. I'm your host, Varvara Shmygalova. In today's episode, we'd like to update you on the situation with Ukrainian Grain Deal and the state of the Ukrainian agriculture overall. Since the large-scale invasion of Ukraine, Russia once again has been trying to weaponize food and use it as an instrument of influence. This time, its blackmail failed, because the UN and Turkey firmly stood their grounds and declared the deal will remain on the table with or without Russia. However, the war still has a damaging influence on the Ukrainian agricultural sector. So the problem of food security persists and is extended to the following year. If you want to find out more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our videos in the future. We'll start with Oleg Nivievskyi, Assistant Professor and Vice President of Economics Education at the Kyiv School of Economics. He will talk about the Ukrainian grain corridor and the detrimental impact of the Russian invasion on Ukrainian agriculture. He will also address issues that Ukrainian farmers are experiencing because of this war.
I'm Oleg Nivievskyi. I'm a professor at Kyiv School of Economics, and we'll be talking about the grain corridor and the situation in Ukraine overall. I think this whole think about Russian invasion into Ukraine has had really detrimental and I would say catastrophic impact on Ukraine and Ukrainian agriculture. I would first like to just indicate and highlight the scale of damages and losses that Ukrainian agriculture suffered from Russian invasion. As of now, since we are closely monitoring damages and losses of Russian invasion. So far, the damages are about 6.6 billion US dollars. These are the damages that are caused to Ukrainian agriculture, and this is about 23% of the capital that is available in Ukrainian agriculture. That means, you can tell it that by 23% Ukrainian agriculture is destroyed as of now. But this is not the end, and the toll is accumulating. In terms of the losses, these are not damages, losses. This is basically the economic benefits or revenues or profits that are lost because of the Russian invasion. So these are the foregone revenues or in additional costs because of the aggression. They are at the moment about 35 billion US dollars. So this is about 75% of the last year output, agricultural output. The export is very important for Ukrainian agriculture because before the war, we produced a lot of grains and oilseeds, and they had to be all exported. I mean, virtually all had to be exported because we don't need that much grain. And export was one of the contributors to the success of the Ukrainian agriculture. And since this is not now available at the scale that it was before the war, this contributes a lot to the losses, because what it does, basically, the blocking of Ukrainian ports, is that inside the country huge surpluses are accumulated, and other alternative export routes are quite expensive. So the routes via the railways, land transport, and via the river ports on the Danube, these are very much expensive. compared to just exporting through the Black Sea ports. So that means because of the higher logistics costs, the prices inside the country are very much depressed. So they are lower by 50%, I would say, or by the size of the logistics costs. Because before the war, logistics costs, export costs were about $30 per ton. Now it's about 200, so almost 6 times. And that means that the farmers are getting lower prices, and they cannot get the revenues needed to cover the cost. So at the moment, the revenues that the farmers are getting in Ukraine are not enough to get to cover the cost. And this is all because of the limited export alternatives, because of the the export is not flowing as it should be. And it's good that we have this corridor available that was moderated by Turkey and UN, and there is export going out from Ukraine. But the problem is it doesn't help to domestic prices. So that means the farmers are still suffering from the losses. They still cannot get the adequate prices. It's really ridiculous when the prices in Ukraine so low, while export prices are really shooting through the roof on the world market. And this is all because of the war. So the liquidity problem with farmers is huge, and you can see the effect of it on the current planting season. So as of December this year, Ukrainian farmers planted, I think, 50% less of the areas that they planted last year. So 50% less. That all means that they are not secured, they're not sure what to do, they are reducing the acreage that they're planning to plant. And the corridor, this export corridor, is working, but it's not working as it could work. It doesn't really increase the liquidity of the farmers. It doesn't increase their revenues. So what it does basically, it's just exporting the surpluses from Ukraine, and that's it. And it's not clear what's going to happen next year. And we also see we also see on the figures, on the export statistics, that from the very beginning of the export corridors, volumes exported through it were really substantial. So the trend was really high. So for instance, in July, about 1.5 million tons was exported. In August, almost 3, and then in September and October it flattened a little bit, and now in November it went down. So that means that the reliability of this corridor is under the question, and that's all because what Russia is doing is just putting the reliability of the corridor under the question. So there are various messages from Putin that it doesn't work, this corridor the way it should work. Then there are some, then it was blaming, so he was blaming this corridor for some nasty things, and then there was a situation, the episode with prolongation of this corridor. So Russia was out for some time, then it was in, then they were in again. So the reliability of this export way is quite questioned, and that's why farmers cannot really reap the benefit of this export routes available. And the problem is that there is no really much alternative available, while the export volumes through other alternative routes, so this is railways and trucks, so the land export, there is no much scope to expand available, and that's why I think the availability of the corridor is critical, but the key problem here with this corridor is basically reliability and whether it's secured. And since Russia is kind of at stake, it's difficult to say that it's going to be reliable as long as Russia is in the deal and really can influence the security of the corridor.
Next, please welcome Olga Trofimtseva, Ambassador-at-Large to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. She will elaborate on President Zelensky's Grain from Ukraine initiative and discuss the infamous failure of Russia's blackmail attempt.
Olga Trofimtseva, Ambassador-at-Large to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. As for the grain corridor and the initiative Grain of Ukraine, which was called out by President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, recently, I would like to stress three major points. First of all, the grain corridor is working quite successfully since its beginning at the end of July of this year, and already more than 12 million tons of grain have been exported, transported by more than 500 ships from the ports of so-called Big Odessa in Black Sea to various destinations all over the world. For me, it's the great sign, and I think they're a good also impulse for all other partners of Ukraine, all other countries and organizations who are now supporting Ukraine from the very beginning of this unprovoked and absolutely unjustified aggression of Russia against Ukraine, not only by the day on a battlefield, but also in economic sense. It's a clear impulse to think over once more that the Russia and Mr. Putin are not so strong as we want to play it off. And how we wanted to seem to be. In fact, we are rather they are the terrorist country. They are, unfortunately, the terrorist state. And I would rather name them as a small criminal of the international economic scene. And that's why all the blackmailings and all the ultimatums should be met with the same decisiveness as it happened in this Green Deal, Grain Deal, and Grain Corridor. That means that we shouldn't react and shouldn't somehow think that the international community is weaker than Russia, or that Russia is sort of a superpower. That's not the case. Any kind of blackmailing, any kind of terrorist acts should be met with very, very concrete steps from the civilized countries, and that should be shown clearly to such countries like Russia, in this case, to such states like Russia, that no blackmailing is accepted, no ultimatums are accepted in world politics and in world economic policy. And well, I think that this situation and this reaction can be a very good beginning for the shaping of the new model of relations with such a state as Russia.
You've been watching a special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!